Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode on this wonderful Friday. You are hanging with the Influence Tribe. And, I want to welcome all the viewers that are catching this on theinfluencetribe.com. Be sure to give us a shout out over on our Facebook fan page. And if you have any questions for our guest tonight, be sure to put them in there. Okay. So before we kick off tonight, one last thing. For everybody that happens to be listening to this on the podcast, we want to thank you. Be sure you head on over to iTunes, like, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. So, before I kick this off, I just got to ask, Robin, are you ready to become a massive influencer tonight?
Yes, I am.
Right on. Robin is a new guest to our show, and she was born in Edgewater Park, New Jersey, and now currently resides in Hamilton, New Jersey. She's a wife of 9 years and has a wonderful 1-year-old son. She started back in MLM back in 2008 and found MLSP in 2014. She's attained the prestigious accomplishment of being L2 and is currently featured on the leaderboards. Her main methods of marketing currently is through Instagram. So get ready for another Instagram battle tonight. I'm really excited to get into tonight's episode, but before I do, I want to go ahead and turn this over to my co-host, Miguel Fuentes, who's going to going to tell all of you about who we are and what this wonderful tribe is for you. Miguel, take it away, sir.
Right on. Thank you so much for that introduction, Scott. I always feel so welcome when you do that. I really do. I absolutely do. I mean, it's Friday night. It's one of my favorite nights of the week entirely because we do get to come out here and interview another amazing leader who's absolutely rocking it, crushing the leaderboards and getting lots of results in her business. And you know what? She's an Instagrammer, close to my heart. Very close and near and dear to my heart because that is my primary marketing strategy as well, at Miguel J. Fuentes, by the way. But guys, what are we about? We're here to help you become a better leader. We're here to help you create some influence in your world, in your business, because as we all know, people follow people. They don't follow products. They follow that leader that they like. They follow that person that they trust. They follow that person that they want to be around. So that's what we're here to do. We're help you to get better at that. And what better way to do it than to interview people who are already doing it? So tuck in, folks, get buckled up. Robin, for those people that don't know you, can you please come out and share your story of how you came into the industry, where MLSP fits in with all of that. And let's talk some Instagram after that.
Yes, definitely. So my story, wow. Actually, if you talked to me when I was back in college, I never would have thought I would be where I am today. Okay, I was the bio geek. You know the geek. Big Bang Theory. That's me. Okay, that's who I am. And I had a great job. I was studying breast cancer. I was working in a research lab and loved it. Okay, I'm a true introvert, which you can probably believe. Here I am doing this. Still get really nervous and everything like that. But I pushed myself through it. But I was working in the lab all by myself and absolutely loved it. And then what happened was one day, just like everybody, right? One day something happened, right? I was on eBay, and I wish I remembered what I was searching for, but I was searching for something. And an ad came up that said something about, do you want to make more money? And for some reason, I clicked on it. No clue why, I just was drawn to it for some reason. And the guy that did it actually mailed me a book, okay? So a week later, this book arrived, okay? So remind you, this is 2007, so, internet was, still good, but booklets were still being worked at the time, for MLM. So I read it, and I remember thinking, residual income. I can work now and get paid forever. Like, that blew my mind, because in the lab, that wasn't the way it was. If I didn't work Monday through Friday, I didn't get paid, So, and in our case, we dealt with grants and everything like that. So we were constantly struggling for money, in the lab. I didn't want that in my regular life, my background life, and everything like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to try. So I did. And, again, remember the bio geek that I am, I didn't know a thing about marketing, not a clue what I was going to do. So I asked my sponsor, and he's like, well, I'm brand new too. So you have to go to someone else. So I was like, really? So that's one, if you want a big thing to take away from this, is be around leaders because otherwise you are the blind leading the blind. And I've been there and don't ever want to be there again, which is one of the reasons why I came to MLSP. But so what I did was I started to make cold calls. Okay, that's what they told me to do. So, okay, I picked up the phone and I called. I would buy leads and I would make 100 calls a day. Okay, Monday through Friday. You want to talk about chasing people. You want to talk about, feeling depressed, because some days you would get 100 no's. Some days you would get cursed out. Some days you would get screamed at. Some days you would get hung. I mean, the good thing was just a hang up, really, in all honesty, because most of the time it was a lot more negative than that. But you know what? I actually was getting 2 to 5 people a day to check out my company. So my first line was really growing because I was consistent. The problem was my team wasn't growing very well because I still really didn't know what I was doing, And I realized I hated chasing people. I just couldn't stand it. And I also realized something was, as long as I was making the calls, the leads were coming in. The new people were coming in, everything like that. But if I took a week off, suddenly it was just like my regular job. The new leads weren't coming in anymore, So I had to constantly be doing it. And it just didn't feel right. It just made me sick to really think about it. So in 2009, I actually went, I'm going to go online, and I started on Facebook. And just like everybody else, I spammed. I can raise my hand. I was a spammer. I put up my link all over the place. Okay. Yes. If you spammed, you put your hand up. I did it, And it was funny because, back in 2009, 2010, you could get away with it. Like Facebook actually allowed you to spam your link all over the place. Whereas now you're in deep trouble if you put a link out, So I did that. And I realized, it worked and everything like that. But I was still chasing people. I was still had to do that. It wasn't lasting. It wasn't building. And another big thing was I was branding my company. And that was a big no-no. I didn't know, okay, because like I said, I had no formal training. I just went by what my company said. So they said, use their name. Of course they want us to use their name all over the place. So that's what I did. And it just chase. So I tried Twitter, never liked Twitter, not gonna lie. Just never got a hold on Twitter or anything like that. Tried it multiple times since and just never really felt right. And it really wasn't until 2014 where everything kind of changed. I knew there was a better way. I knew there was a way out there. And I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to create a website for my whole team to use. And that way we can build that way. And I started learning and researching everything like that. And it ended up actually meeting my mentor, Gavin Mountford, who introduced me to MLSP. And that was it. It was suddenly like the light bulb moment. Suddenly I learned that I can put stuff out there and people will come to me. And that just changed everything for me. So now, I have, 20 to 30 people every day as leads coming into me, asking, to learn from me, wanting to learn from me, wanting to learn more from me, even, coming to me and saying, hey, I saw your video or something like that. I need to learn more. And it's so much easier when people want to come to you. It just takes the stress off. Now I don't feel like I'm chasing people. I feel like I'm helping people. And to me, that's just all I ever really wanted to do was help people. So now I get to do that,
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm curious, was Instagram your very first strategy that you did?
With MLSP, yes. In fact, I joined MLSP in 2014, and it was actually when April Marie Tucker's course came out, which I know I think we both took it together, if I remember correctly, right? You took it, in November, I think it was. When her Insta Leads course came out, I took it, and it kind of blew my mind because at the time I was like, Instagram, and a friend of mine was like, Robin, you're so creative. I'm a scrapbooker, okay? It's one of my hobbies and everything like that. She's like, you're so creative. Why are you not on Instagram? And I was like, you know what? It's the drunken selfies. I said, I'm married, I'm, I was like, I'm 30 years old, I'm not going to be putting drunken selfies out, or whatever, or, like with self, that's all I thought it was. And she was like, no. She's like, you should check it out. And it was funny because I checked it out. And then April Marie, did her webinar on MLSP about Instagram. And I was like, wow, I can do this. I can create pictures. Me, quiet little me. I can do 15-second videos. Honestly, that is where I started doing videos, where they're 15-second videos, And it just made it so clear. I found my home. I found my love. I found what I love to teach. And I really just kind of, like I always say, if you want to become an expert spend 30 days studying one thing. That's what I did. I tuned out everything else I could think of for that course, and I just studied every little minute of it, and I went on YouTube and I started learning everything I could about Instagram. And since that, I've taken my one account to over 32,000 followers. And like I said, I generate 25 to 30 leads per day, every single day from Instagram with like 3 posts a day. So, it doesn't take me very long, and suddenly, I'm not chasing anymore. And that's what I really loved, is like now people are coming to me. I don't have as much to do. Now, I do something a little differently than some people do. From Instagram, I actually take people into my Facebook group. Okay, I have a Facebook group called The 6 Steps to Instagram Success with Robin Smith. Definitely check it out, because it's kind of cool, especially if you want to learn about Instagram, because I teach a lot about Instagram in there, but I also teach a lot about business. And I actually grew to over 6,000 members in just a little over a year. And that's pretty much all from Instagram. So that's basically like 6,000 leads if you really think about it. These are people that came in through that. So I give tons of value and everything. And that's actually really where I build my relationship, that know, like, and trust factor. When, when you have your own group, you're kind of seen, like the expert, like you are the authority of that, So, you kind of have that little posture, a little bit more than you would normally, So it's great. And that's where I share, MLSP or affiliate options, or even my, my MLM come in through there.
Awesome. So is that your recommendation for strategy, is just to use the Facebook group versus, I guess, what are your thoughts on that, on using a Facebook group versus using like a solid capture page on Instagram?
Yeah, I really like that. Not that I want to say anything bad about email. I love email, and I do highly suggest having email, as well, and have the autoresponder set up and everything like that, because, obviously capturing the email addresses, it's something you kind of own. So for example, if Facebook closed tomorrow, my group goes away, I'm SOL kind of thing, I'm really in trouble, Same thing with Instagram, if Instagram goes away, so at least with the email addresses, they're mine. I can always talk to them. But what I like about Facebook groups is the engagement's so much higher. If I'm putting stuff out there, I'm getting likes, I'm getting follow, I'm getting engagement, I'm finding out what my people like a lot more than an email, where even if you say reply to this, how many replies do you really get? You don't get many. If I put something on my Facebook group, I might get 100 responses, So I know exactly, hey, did they like this piece of content? Did they not like this piece of content? What do they want me to talk about? What do they not want me to talk about? And I'm giving them exactly what they want, which, for, when you're selling courses and everything like that, and leading them in, because obviously, yes, you want to help them and everything. And in doing that, you're, obviously you're going to be selling them things eventually, or at least promoting of something. When you're building that relationship, they're like, okay, here's my wallet, here's my credit card, I need your help. Please come, please help me.
Take my money, please.
Exactly, and that's really what happens is, that relationship's already there. So they're willing to say, wow, she knows what she's talking about. Here it is,
That's awesome. So Robin, today on modern Instagram, because we know, right? We know that the algorithm came around, a lot of people lost their butts, but if you lost your butt, it's probably because you weren't doing it right. Which we know that, right? We know that because we have both benefited from the algorithm shift. What would you say are the 3 most essential things on Instagram today, like right now? Like
right now,
what 3 things, 2 or 3 things should people be doing to absolutely start making it work today?
1, consistency. That I tell everybody across all social media, I don't care what it is, but definitely on Instagram, be consistent. If you post even once a day, primarily at the same time, and the reason why I like to say that is because your followers will start to expect things at a certain time if you're used to it. So for example, in mine, I put a tip up every day at 10 a.m. And you know what? A couple times I've been a little bit late. I've actually had people message me, I missed your tip today. What happened? Are you okay? And you're like, wow, you're really waiting for that tip. Oh man, So number 1 is consistency. And number 2, you need to go out and engage on other people's accounts. Okay. That's one thing I find. And I mean, human engagement. Okay. Not bots are fine. People, use bots. That's completely fine. But you need to manually go out and engage on other accounts, because when you engage on theirs, they're going to engage on yours. So they're the 2 things I tell people every day. Post consistently and consistently engage on other people's accounts.
Awesome. What are your thoughts about Instagram stories? Because this is something I absolutely adore. Stories. I think it's so much fun.
Yes.
They put so
It,
much cool stuff on. Because I'm just like you. I'm the creative type. I'm that yellow blue person that has fun and then cries about it. Like it's so much fun to be on Instagram. So tell us about stories and give us a good strategy for it.
Oh, stories. Yes, I love stories. And they've done so many new things. I mean, most people now, if you swipe up, you can actually send people to a link, which is awesome because we finally have another way of putting a link out. With Instagram for forever, we've had one link. You had to drive traffic to one link and that was it, which is one of the reasons why I picked my Facebook group, because once they're in my group, then I can send them anywhere else. That was one of the reasons why I picked a group. But and you can now put links in DMs as well.
Yep.
That's a new thing as well. But to get back to stories, and you can put hashtags, and that's the other cool thing is now with hashtags, they're actually showing up in the searches. And I was so excited the other day. I put one up, and I'm like, yeah, right. It's not really showing up, and I searched for it, and it was there. So now that means new people.
Robin, so just give a little. So you mean what's showing up in the Instagram stories are showing up in the searches? How is that?
Yes, that is awesome. That means new people are, because what they're doing is, if you put hashtags in and that person searched for it just like they would before, it's now showing up on their feed. So now, people who are not your followers are going to see your stories. So you can build engagement. And once they see your stories and they like you, they're going to come follow you anyway. So it's a great way to get even out there further and further and further. Same thing with geotags. Definitely make sure you're, obviously don't tag your house. If you're at home, okay, be careful that way. But your city nearby and everything like that, put that out there because that's also showing up there as well. I know like the bigger cities, I don't live near real big cities, but I know the bigger cities, they're even compiling the stories, which I think is just so cool. I saw that just, I think it was up in New York the other day, and they were showing, it was like five stories they put together that were all at the same place in New York. I was like, wow, I mean, you get to see 5 different people, So yeah, stories are a great way to show the behind the scenes. That's what I always like to do. Like we like to know that we're human, we like to know we're working with real people. So when you see somebody, just doing something fun or dumb or whatever, or, hey, look, I had this, chicken sandwich for lunch today, like I wouldn't put that on my regular feed, but I might put that in there, and I did that, and I had, people come back to me, wow, that sandwich, that looked delicious. I was like, okay, that made an impression on you, So it's a great way just to show you're human, show, your personality.
That's awesome. I absolutely love that. Give us some tips on content, because content counts for so much right now. Like if your content isn't pleasing at this point, I mean, talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, definitely high quality pictures. I mean, I laugh when I see fuzzy pictures on there, like I'm thinking, we all have these phones with these high digital cameras and everything like that, and yet you still see somebody with a fuzzy picture, it kind of just, it's like, just take a minute, you can even put a filter on it. If you black and white most pictures, it'll look better, so just spend a little time doing that. And then, if you're going to put words over it, this is something I always say, if you're going to put words over it, make sure you can read them, because that's another thing I find a lot of people doing, especially they're putting quotes up, which is great. Quotes are going to get you a lot of engagement. Instagram, one of the reasons I loved it and I was drawn to it is it's very bubbly. It's very exciting. Whereas Facebook can be very negative sometimes. I don't find that as much on Instagram, So putting up, putting up quotes and everything like that, it makes them, really exciting. But make sure you can read them, because you remember you're on this little screen. And if it's difficult to read, somebody's just going to swipe right by it and never even see that, never read it, never go any further. The other thing, now I know we're talking about content, but this is the action caption part of it, which, definitely do put a caption, okay? Because you want to tell kind of like a story of what the picture is, but you also kind of want to make a little headline. And the reason why is when you're actually scrolling through, only the first 3 lines really show up. And then there's like a little button to read the rest. So you want to grab the person's attention to make them want to click that button to read the rest. So I know this is something even somebody was saying, oh, you should put your call to action in that first line. And I tried that, and actually, that does help. It does work, but definitely try to make it like a headline to capture that person's attention.
Wow, that's really valuable. I like that. Oh man, oh my gosh, I have so many questions to ask you. know it's a lot. What specific type of content do you run on a daily? Like, are you doing like only quotes or tips, and what kind of tips do you recommend? Or
Okay. I put up 3 posts a day. I do morning, I do a motivation. 10 a.m. I do an Instagram business tip. And then 5 p.m. I do another quotes, right? It's just like a standard quote. They're the 3 I run every day. And I do recommend doing both. If you can, main reason why is there's so many accounts that are only just quotes. And yes, they're good and everything like that. And like I said, they're going to get you a lot of engagement. But is that really going to lead to your business? Is that really going to brand you? Unless they're your quotes, or what you're saying, they're not. So you do have to kind of bring something of yourself out there to put yourself as an expert, whatever your niche. I mean, I'm on Instagram, so I'm teaching Instagram. Yes, if you teach something else, definitely put that there as well. I have a friend of mine, she does funnels. And I told her, I said, Instagram would be great for this because you can lead Instagram into your funnel. This would be perfect. So she started putting up tips for using like an autoresponder and funnels and everything like that. And she was amazed at her response. And I said, yeah, because we want to know that, even Instagrammers want to know, how do you set up a funnel, which autoresponder is the best, which one should I use, how do I do it, you kind of need to know that. So I do recommend doing both. And then obviously, you do need promos, we are in business, so eventually you're going to have to sell something. So promos are good, just kind of don't promote all the time. And don't put up the before and after all the time. They're another one that I love when I see somebody's picture. And it's like, when you look at their 9 pictures and it's like all before and after, it's like, what are you getting? Or when you go through it, it's all, pictures of their products. And it's like, I'm looking at a catalog, no, you want to give value, I mean, just like all social media, you definitely want to be giving the value as well in there. So.
Awesome. Are you using Instagram Live right now?
I am not, but I'm actually going to start doing it more. My biggest thing was, for the longest time, if you don't know about Instagram Live, you go and you do, and it would send your little live out to your followers, and then as soon as you were done, it disappeared. And I actually told people, if you were nervous about video, it was a great way to get over being nervous about video, because who cares? Because it's going to disappear. Well, now you can save it. So once they started saying you could save it and I could repurpose it and put it somewhere else, then I was like, wow, okay, I'm going to start doing this. So I really haven't gotten into it too much, but it's on my to-do list.
That is awesome. I absolutely love Instagram Live. And it's, yeah. When they said you could save it, I was like, oh, that's it. That's the one right there.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Do you recommend let's see, for a newer person on Instagram, do you recommend that they start with multiple accounts or just one? And what are your thoughts on using multiples?
Okay, definitely start with one. It is, I'm not gonna lie, it's actually hard to maintain more than one. It really is. So start with one, get good at it, get consistent at it. That's first and foremost, okay? Because in the beginning, when you first start out, I always said, to me, it took me longer to get from 0 to 1,000 than it has ever since. Like this first 1,000 followers took forever, it seemed like, And so it's a lot of work in the beginning. So I see so many people, they tell me that, well, I got on and I have 4 different accounts. And I'm like, how do you maintain that, My only suggestion for having multiple accounts is, one, obviously, as you grow, you can always add another one in, because once you start growing, it kind of starts to grow organically on its own, so it's a little less work as it gets bigger. So you can add another one in. And that's actually what I did. Was I have my primary account, and then I have one specifically for my MLM. So my primary account's growing organically and everything like that. I'm really not touching it very much because it's already doing well. So I'm kind of focusing on my other one. But my only real suggestion is, if you do have a business or have multiple businesses that are completely different. So say, for example, you sell like travel and I sell oils or something like that, it's going to be kind of hard to figure out what kind of content to put that's going to, combine both. So you might want to separate those out and do 2 different ones. In doing that, I would suggest only posting once a day, just because that way you don't create as much content, and waste, I don't want to say waste the time, but waste the time creating the content. But if you're consistently posting once a day, that'll even be good enough.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay,
I
I'm
got
gonna
a
go ahead
question for both of you guys.
Go ahead.
Do you recommend, or would you go ahead and use virtual assistants for your accounts at any point now or in the future?
Well, here's kind of the theory and the idea about that. Like, you're either casting your net really wide, which a lot of marketers do and have had success with. If you're sitting at 15 or 20 accounts, you're probably going to need an assistant. It
Oh
takes
yeah.
time. And here's the bad part about that. If you're running, you have to post your accounts regularly. You have to interact with your accounts regularly because of the way the algorithm is set up right now. So what will happen is, if you don't post to it for a little while, you start to become irrelevant
Yeah.
and you start to disappear. So your account, even though it's out there, it's not doing anything. So if you make it within a manageable size and you can afford an assistant, then, great. Go for it. What are your thoughts on that, Robin?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, and then get an assistant, and you kind of trust, because you're handing over, almost like you're handing over your baby. I have an
Uh-huh.
assistant who helps me in my Facebook group. She brings everybody in. She lets people in. She messages them. She helps me with that part so that I can focus on other aspects. And I'm not going to lie, I just brought her in just a couple months ago, and it was hard for me to back off because I was like, here I've nurtured this is my baby, and I'm asking somebody else to take care of it for a little while. It was kind of hard, to do. So yeah, I mean, definitely, make sure you trust the person you hire.
Absolutely. Yeah, those, like, casting a wide net is great if you can manage it, if you can keep
If
up
you
with it.
manage it.
Because if you don't
Yeah.
keep up with it, there's no point to it. So
No.
that's
And I mean, I'd say I mean, I don't know how you feel, but to me, most accounts need about 30 minutes a day. So like you said, if you have 15 accounts, that's a lot of hours you're spending right on Instagram. You're not spending on other parts of your business or anything.
While we're on that topic, what would you say are the most fundamental activities on Instagram? Like the ones that are going to get you there?
The ones that are going to get you there. To me, it is actually searching for hashtags that are relevant to your target market and then engaging on their accounts. Like you have, that's the thing about, Instagram is so reciprocal. You have to be going out there and actually engaging with new people every day. I mean, even if you meet 10 new people a day, you're good. I mean, if you can crank it up even more, that'll definitely get you more people in. I have a thing I do. I call it the 555 rule. And I spend 5 minutes engaging on new accounts. Okay, just strictly liking all the way, and I'll just go down and I'll just like for 5 minutes. Just search for a hashtag that's relevant to my thing, and then for 5 minutes, just go likes. And then I do 5 minutes with my followers already. Okay, the people who are already following me, I actually go into my followers and I'll just do that. And that way I engage with people who are already following me, who may not have seen me recently or may not have come in. And then I do another 5 where I go back and I search for a new hashtag, and I will do the like, follow, and comment, on there. It's a little something different. And I'll go do that for another 5 minutes. So 15 minutes a day. I do this every day. And I tell a lot of my people to do this so that you're actively going out there. And it's amazing how much you can get done in 15 minutes. I mean, you can get a lot of likes and a lot of comments done in 15 minutes.
Absolutely. I love that. Give us, for somebody who's struggling on Instagram, what would you say is your number one tip? Or, you know what, better yet, what do you coach people on the most? Because that I feel like, you work with enough people over time, you're going to start to see the same trends in what they're doing or not doing. On Instagram specifically, like, what do you coach people on the most?
2 things. One, content. Okay, what content to put out there, and then number 2, hashtags. It seems like I must get a hashtag question at least 2 or 3 times a day from different people. They can't figure out which hashtags to use. They're just struggling. The ones they're using are spammy. They're attracting the wrong people. Hashtags is one of those things you really just have to spend time on. And then once you get your group, your 30 that you can use up to 30. So if you get your 30 group, you still need to maintain it. You can't just use that 30 and then just keep using it over and over and over. You still have to keep switching it up. So that's one of the big things, and it's funny because with the algorithm now, in this whole shadow banning and everything, as they keep saying.
Oh, she said it.
I said it.
She said it out loud, even on live TV.
I know. I keep laughing. Like I keep getting more and more about it. Like it's just, I keep saying.
It's go ahead and real quick. We just talked about something that's a little bit taboo. The idea of shadow banning. So, Robin, if you don't mind, the folks watching this and listening have no idea what we're talking about.
Probably
I'm
not.
sure. So just enlighten us about it.
Okay, there is this theory, I guess, going around. Okay, it has not been accepted by some, and I mean we're gonna touch on it barely, but I wanted to make sure we get it out there that certain hashtags are not being shown. Okay, for whatever the reason. Okay, who knows? Whatever the reason. And people are feeling that their pictures are not being shown to anyone else outside of their initial followers. So if you have seen a low decrease in your engagement, some people are attributing this to the shadow banning, as they're calling it, these hashtags not being shown. Now, remember, hashtags, certain ones are banned. Okay, we will put that out there. Like if you're using the hashtag cash, yours probably not being shown. Okay, just gonna put it out there. Okay, I laugh when people when I ask people what kind of hashtags are you using, and money, cash, and I'm like, no. Which also brings you to the showing of content, where you're holding the money or something like that. That's bad picture. Don't use that kind of thing. I always love it. I did a training one time, and I actually had the picture of the cash all over the car. And I was like, was this your picture? Did this bring you any leads in? Don't think so, So there's certain ones that are banned. Okay, there was a list. If you Google it, you would be surprised. Actually, some of the ones that are banned, like Easter, is another one that's banned. I always hear, and I can't figure out why. We just had Easter not too long ago. I'm sure all the Easter pictures got shown. But they say the word's banned. So it's some people are really for it. Some people are really against it. I mean, my theory, if you want to know my theory of why the engagement really dropped, if you really want to know, is a lot of the bots have been shut down, which meant the likes you were getting, yes, they are not as many. They are true likes from real people. So they're good. And I can attest to this. Yes, my engagement has gone down. My leads have gone up, and I really think it's because real people are finally seeing my account. They're finally agreeing on my account, not some random bot doing it,
That's true.
Yeah.
And this goes, I'm just going to reiterate a point that Robin made earlier, and it's that your content matters. That's why your content is so much more important right now than ever before, because your bots are not liking your stuff as much. So you're getting less likes, which doesn't feel very good. But the likes that you are getting are real people that have seen your stuff. So make your content primo, make it good, make it nice, put some time in it. And yes, I 100% agree. I see you. That's awesome.
We're there, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to Scott at this point. It's super fun. We're gonna have to, when this is all done, we'll get out our notebooks and do a little masterminding or something. we might have to separate it, set another day to do something like that. I know Scott's got some awesome questions he's gonna ask you.
Geeked it out, right?
Yeah, totally. Go ahead, Scott.
Guys, this has been awesome. I gotta tell you, Instagram is so awesome. The funny thing is that everything that we talk about on this episode, it's like going to be irrelevant in 30 days because it so constantly changes. I mean, so you have to stay constantly on it. Am I right?
Yes. Oh,
always stay on top of it. Master your craft, folks.
Yes.
Robin, I got a couple of questions for you. We ask these questions to all the people that we interview on, and so this is where I believe that we get really the most value out of the show. So here we go. In the beginning, we all struggle. Give us something that you had to overcome early in your business to succeed.
The phone. I still hate the phone. I'm not gonna lie. I think I kind of traumatized myself with all my calls. But
did you go for no?
Yes. In fact, it's funny. You just said I'm actually going for no again right now. These next 2 weeks, I'm doing it. 20 no's a day. That's what my little goal is. But yes, we can do so much online, which is awesome. But eventually, you do kind of have to get on the phone or Skype or something like that to take that relationship to the next level. So yes, I had to get over the phone. And I also had to, the second one is video. I was petrified of video. And like I said, I started on Instagram when it was initially 15 seconds. Now you can have a minute, but I figured, well, I'll do 50. I can say, hey, this is Robin Smith, and suddenly, it's turned more and more. And now look what I'm doing, hour-long things.
So for all those doubters out there, the phone works, right?
The phone works, yes. Yeah, it's something about hearing that person's voice still, and actually engaging with them, which is another reason, same thing with video, you actually can put the voice, the mannerisms to people, and really get to know that person.
Awesome. What would you say is your proudest moment in your network marketing business?
It's funny. The proudest moment is my network marketing business, but it was also personal. And that's one of the reasons why I think it is I made my first $5,000 in the month, and I bought my husband a drum set. Surprised the heck out of him. And I can still, to this day, picture his face, that's what it was. That was my absolute, proudest moment, put my arms up, I did it moment.
Did you know you were going to buy it?
Nope. Completely shocked him.
Nice. Give us one or two of your favorite quotes.
I am a huge Star Wars geek, so do not, there is no try. That's my motto, and that's the way it is. I love when I tell somebody, they ask me a question, and I tell them, and they're like, oh, I'll try that. And it's just like, oh, no, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So yes, that is my number one quote that, I live by in business and personal life.
Right on. Can you give us what is one habit that's helped you become successful in your business consistently?
I get up at 5 a.m. And when I get up, I do not go to Instagram. I do not go to Facebook. I do not go to email or anything like that. I spend 1 hour creating content. And it's amazing how much content you can get done when you have 1 hour of focused action without the distraction. That's where, I create my images. That's where I do all my stuff for my Facebook group. That's it. So I know, getting up 5 a.m. is kind of hard for people, but it's what works for me.
It sounds like you've been reading The Miracle Morning.
Yeah, I have read it, yes, actually.
So leaders are readers, so they say. So give us one or two books that you recommend that you've read in the last 6 months.
It's funny. I'm not a reader, which I'm really not, which I know I'm completely against the opposite. But one of the ones I do highly recommend, and I do reread often, is actually what we just said, Go for No, Richard Fenton. I read it often. It's something about, it's so motivational just to hear it. And now the beginning, obviously has Ray Higdon and everything with it. I went out and got the newer copy when that came out, and everything like that. It's something about it just completely revolutionized my mindset back when I was first starting and everything, that, no's are okay. They're okay, because you're going to hear them. Get used to it. Brush them off your shoulder, because you're going to hear a lot of no. So highly recommend that book.
Awesome.
And also Miracle Morning. Yes, I have read that.
Can you go ahead and give us a moment in your business that you were struggling and then the light bulb went off and you had that huge breakthrough? What was that?
That moment was actually with MLSP, when I finally realized that you did not need to chase people. Like that, really, even to this day, when I think about that, it's like, talk about that sigh of relief, like when suddenly I can put something out there and people come to me and ask me for help, versus before, like I said, you're picking up the phone, you're talking to people, you're going out, you're constantly going after them. I even say now, I don't hear as many no's. Like the Go for No challenge is harder now because there aren't as many no's. It's really kind of funny, So that was really it. Highly recommend MLSP and everything, because it really does show you that you can put stuff out there and people do come to you when you do position yourself as the expert of something, whatever it may be.
Awesome. Before we go ahead and put a bow on this, I'm going to turn this back over to Miguel. Miguel, do you have any final thoughts or questions you want to hit up Robin?
Oh my gosh. This has been an awesome interview. You are absolutely delightful, Robin. Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Very informative. We went through a lot of stuff. Like I said, Instagram is very near and dear to my heart. It's the thing. I love it. I spend all my time on it. But guys, before we put a bow on this episode, this wonderful episode we've had with Robin, make sure if you're watching this on the influencetribe.com, there's a big yellow button off to the side of the page that says, yes, I'm ready to get results. Yes, I'm ready to move forward in my business with a leader like Robin who can help me grow, especially on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you want to work with me or Robin, click the button, get back to the person who invited you, and let's rock and roll. Let's do this. Let's grow it. Let's get bigger and better every single day. That's all I want to say. Scott, Robin, thank you again for hanging out with us this evening. I think Scott's got one more question for you.
Robin, this is the $1 million question. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. You've lost all your income, but you have all the knowledge that you currently possess. So if you had to start all over again, what would you do in your business to start getting immediate results?
Create a Facebook group. That's what I do. That's how it is. To me, it is one of the easiest ways to quickly build the relationship with people, which is going to bring them to work with you and want to work with you, and then your income's going to go back up. So, and plus it's free. So if I don't have any money to start, may not be able to set up a website or actually, do an autoresponder or something like that right away. So a Facebook group is free.
Awesome. Can you go ahead and give us, the audience, any parting words or wisdom or best advice, and how can they get in contact with you?
My wisdom, be you. Do what feels right for you, whatever it may be. Trust your gut because it's probably right. And really, if you think about it, we're all human out there, and everything like that, but we all stand out in some way. So make yourself stand out, and that way you stand out is being you. So definitely do that. The 2 ways to get in touch with me, you can definitely hit me up on Instagram. It's RobinSmith2007. Or come and join my Facebook group, which is the 6 Steps to Instagram Success with Robin Smith.
Awesome. Just hang out for about 5 minutes after we close out. Okay, Robin?
Sure.
Okay. Folks, you are the product of 5 closest people that you hang out with, and tonight you've been hanging out with Robin Smith. Robin, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. You are definitely a massive influencer.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Awesome. Good night, everybody. God bless.